I was on the track, sharp as a tack. I seen Martina pull up. I said, "God damn, bitch, you fine." You know what I'm saying? I got out the car, was sweating that bitch. She went and took care of business. After that, she jumped in the car, and we rode off like a thief in the night.
Yes. And I've been with him ever since.
Ever since?
Yeah, but me and Kenny hasn't been together for years, but we have a mutual respect for each other. I'm always gonna love Kenny,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but back then I was just in love. Was just down for Kenny Red's pimping and just cross country with it.
Well, hello there, love bugs. Hello there, Bellas. If you have not already done so, please remember to like, share the Facebook, subscribe, and visit uptopbeauty.com for this H0e hat. Now, I'm not sure if we have the black with the white flower left, but I know we have a few of the black cap with the black flowers. So go on over there to uptopbeauty.com and check it out. And if you are not already a part of this book club, please hit the Patreon link below and or the join button here on the YouTube. And for a small monthly fee of $5, you babies, yes, you can be privy to all the shenanigans before the YouTube gets it, if the YouTube gets it. Now, dun, dun, dun. Let's talk about Bettye LaVette, A Woman Like Me, by guess what? The David Ritz. We love all his. I was touring with Clyde McFadder, but there was Benny King, the same King who sings Spanish Harlem and Stand By Me, had two of the biggest hits in the country. Croaking Clarence Frogman Henry was also there, singing You Always Hurt the Ones You Love, as was Barbara Lynn with You'll Lose a Good Thing. Atlantic put some muscle behind My Man. It hit the R&B charts and quickly climbed past Green Onions by Booker T and the MGs, The Contours, Do You Love Me, and Esther Phillips, Release Me. Remember when Etta James was out there pulling them capers? Her Lacey to her Cagney was Esther Phillips. Esther Phillips never admitted that she was out there pulling check frauds and scamming and pussy selling schemes with Etta James. Etta James was just like, Esther like to pretend that it ain't never happened, even though everybody know that was her next to me. It wound up running neck and neck with the Four Seasons Big Girls Don't Cry. My man dropped, by the way, the same week as Marvin Gaye's Stubborn Kind of Fellow. Marvin had been insistent about singing standards exclusively in the style of Nat King Cole. But when that didn't produce hits, he saw his stubbornness as a problem. So he wrote a song about being stubborn and had a smash. You got a bona fide hit, Bettye, said Robert West. I was literally going places. The tour continued, dropping and adding artists as we went along. On our night off in Montgomery, Alabama, West's hometown, we went to see the unknown Otis Redding. He was a big guy, broad shoulders and long, strong legs, as country as a barn and as sweet as sugar. We took a liking to each other, and we're both on the same show at the Royal Peacock in Atlanta, the major black venue in Georgia. Otis was from Macon. As a Detroiter, I saw myself, even at 16, as far more sophisticated than 21-year-old Otis. After all, he wore shiny mohair suits and Red Sox tacky. Okay. There was no question he could sing. These arms of mine proved that. He started flirting with me during rehearsals on a Friday. We moved along to after the show drinks on Saturday, and by Sunday, we were on intimate terms. Hearing this, I don't really have a lot of judgment towards her because she's young, and artists are different. They vibrate through the world differently. They don't go by like the normal standards and opinions. It's not what everybody thinks, it's what I feel. And if she feels like she want to crawl on top of Otis Redding, girl, then go forth. We moved along to the after show drinks on Saturday, and by Sunday, we were on intimate terms. He saw me, he said, as a cute little girl from Michigan, and I saw him as a sweet man with an easygoing way. Naturally, I was flattered that he was enamored of me. After a weekend of shows, he went his way and I went mine. When we met again, our little fling was back on, but I never took it seriously. I never took him seriously. When he said he wanted to marry me, he said Atlantic would love that because we were both on subsidiaries of their label. Aren't you already married? I asked. No, he said. My girlfriend back home is pregnant by me. Whatever the case, I had no interest in being Mrs. Otis Redding. Oh, I wonder if it was because he was a good guy. He was a nice guy. Because she got a propensity to want to be with somebody who will smack her around. Okay, and she's going to break down how she views violence in relationships later on, child. It's going to blow your mind. But it's the whole way. Whatever the case, I had no interest in being Mrs. Otis Redding. To me, he was simply a wonderful singing guy who shared my love for Roy Rogers and Dale Evans and country and western music. Pause, y'all. Listen. I went in the Target the other day, I'm not even playing with y'all, and got me a Dolly Parton shirt. When I tell you, I don't know if the shirt cost $12.99, $13.99, $14.99. When I tell you I'm going to wear that motherfucker like I paid $99.99 for it, I'm not playing no games with y'all. I love the Dolly Parton. I've been in love with Dolly Parton since the best little whorehouse in Texas. During the tour, I also had a brief fling with Ben E. King. That was tricky because Ben had both a home wife and a road wife. That made me second to the second. I also had my eye on Clyde McPhatter. I wanted to sleep with him, if only to surprise and delight Mama with the news. What kind of bullshit is this? Because her parents were fans of Clyde McPhatter. You would run back home and say, Mama, guess who I slept with? Girl, Clyde McPhatter. That's like me going home and telling my mama, I just slept with Carl Weathers. You know my mother would backhand me and throw me. She would really whoop my ass like she was Carl Weathers' wife. You hear me? For me to go back home and be like, Ma, I just slept with Carl Weathers. She won't be like, bitch, what? Not my man, Carl Weathers. I also had my eye on Clyde McPhatter. I wanted to sleep with him, if only to surprise him and delight Mama with the news. But that was impossible because he traveled with a high-class call girl from New York who kept him in diamond watches and gold cufflinks. Man, did I want to be her. She was absolutely beautiful. Baby, I get it. Every single time I look at a video of Hustle Mom Martina, I be like, God damn, I know this woman done lived a lovely life. Now, I know I wouldn't have the strength to hold like her, one, because my sex be hurting sometimes, especially when you messing with somebody that's, enormous or something. That's too much pressure for me. I can't do it, okay? And then suppose a greasy one want to crawl on top of you and sweat all over you and stuff, and you be like, oh, Lord, all this greasy sweat. I can't have that pressure. I admire the fact that she was getting to the money. Plus, on top of that, she was working with the one and only Kenny Red. Rest in peace. In January of 1963, I turned 17 and found myself once again on the same bill as Otis. He and I went back at the Royal Peacock where he opened for me. My man was still red hot, and his These Arms of Mine had just begun to take off. His show was much more elaborate than mine. He had his own band. I basically had one song and a few pickup musicians, but that song was still getting me over and even better. Atlantic was talking about me cutting another one. First, though, I traveled to Miami for a show at the Night Beat in the Sir John Hotel. The poster outside the club gave me top billing. Coming attractions included Red Fox, Jerry Butler, Maxine Brown, and Chuck Jackson. It was my first trip to Florida, and I was about to make a splash, except for one thing. I lost my voice. Ladies and gentlemen, said the MC, it's star time. Here she is, all the way from Detroit, Michigan, the little lady with the big voice. Please give a big Miami welcome to Miss Bettye LaVette. Child, she stepped in front of that microphone, opened her mouth, and ain't nothing come out. Luckily, Little Willie Junkie John was there. Little Willie Junkie John came on stage, put his arm around her. He jumped on stage, put his arm around me, and broke into his big hit. Talk to me, talk to me. By the time he had warmed up the audience, my voice was back, and I made it through. Grateful to Willie for saving my young ass. I took my bow, went to the dressing room, smoked a joint, and headed back to the club where a table had been reserved for me. I needed a drink. When I sat down in a chair facing the stage, some man said, "You can't sit there." Why not? That's Marie Early's chair. Who's Marie Early? You don't know Marie Early? I wouldn't have asked if I did. Everyone knows Marie Early. Everyone except me. I said, sitting where I wanted to sit. That's Marie's seat, the guy repeated. That's where she sits every night. Every night but this night, I said. I told you once, said the man, and I'll tell you again. That seat there is reserved for Marie Early. Now, I'm already like, this got to be some special kind of damn woman, because if the headliner can't sit in this seat, I'm the headliner. Ain't my name on the marquee? Ain't this venue here to support me, the Bettye LaVette, and I can't sit here? Oh, I got to see this Marie Early. Something in his face told me not to fuck with him, so I left the chair empty and took another one. For the next hour or so, all the talk at the table was, where's Marie? Wonder when Marie's getting here. Sure hope Marie gets here soon. I thought to myself, this Marie Early must really be something. She was. Marie Early's late entry to the Night Beat was one of the great moments of my life. The minute she walked in that place, every head turned. If I thought I was the star that night, I couldn't have been more wrong. Marie Early stole the show. She walked in wearing a clingy white linen suit with nothing underneath. She had flawless caramel-colored skin, alluring eyes, double-rolled eyelashes, and a smile that lit up the night. She was beyond beautiful. She was small in stature, my size, but with bigger breasts, a smaller waist, and wider hips. I later learned she had posed for a centerfold in jet. Listen now, y'all. We got to find this lady, because if she is this fine, I need to see her. You'd expect a woman this drop dead gorgeous to be haughty, not Marie. She was a sweetheart. Baby, she said to me, can't tell you how much I love that song of yours they're playing on the radio. Everyone down here has been talking about it. She spoke softly in a southern accent with a tone reminiscent of Marilyn Monroe. Really? I asked. Yes, sugar. Everyone. Yes, sugar. Everyone. You know Sam Moore and Dave Prater? I don't. They call themselves Sam and Dave, out of sight singers. They're my best friends. They've been telling me you're the best singer they heard since Ike found Tina. For being one of the world's best looking women, Marie was not interested in talking about herself. And that's what I think sets her apart. Listen, by the time we finish this video, you will be entranced with this woman. You're going to be Googling the F out of her because Bettye LaVette makes her seem so spectacular. Marie not interested in talking about herself. She talked about you. She made you feel good about what you were doing. She became one of my closest friends in life and in many ways a model for my sexual behavior. When it came to sex, Marie was as free as a bird. If she liked you, she fucked you. I guess you could have called Marie a prostitute except for this fact. The men who gave her money for love did it without being asked. Guys threw money at her. I can't tell you the number of men, even devoted lovers of mine, who would testify. I mean, I would kind of be feeling a little insignificant next to her. Guys threw money at her. I can't tell you the number of men, even devoted lovers of mine, who would testify. Never had no pussy like that. Never had and never will. This mother hunching Marie sound like the best who ever done it. I adored Marie. So did every man in show business. She had suitors everywhere. The girl was international. She had guys who took her on cruises, guys who sent her juries, guys who paid her house mortgage. Ooh. And the funny thing is that they were okay with Marie having other guys. As long as she had them, no matter how rich or famous a man might be, he knew he could never own Marie Early. She belonged to mankind. In the beautiful words of Hustle Mom Martina, sock it to a bitch pocket. I love her, man. Marie was queen of Miami, a city that didn't even like blacks. But well, that ain't the case now. Miami don't even belong to Florida no more. When you ask people who live in Miami, are you from Florida? They be like, no, I'm from Miami. I live in Miami. Ain't Miami in Florida? I live in Miami, Dade County. I don't live in Florida. Marie was queen of Miami, a city that didn't even like blacks. But there was no man, black, white, or orange, who didn't like Marie. Of her many wonderful qualities, the best was her freedom. She was free to screw whomever she wanted, and her lover was free to do the same. If Marie was out with a man who suddenly saw another chick who grabbed his attention, she'd say, go on, honey. Don't bother me none. I'll find my way home. Man, if you could sing or dance, Marie, I told her, I'd have to kill you. You're too talented as it is. She laughed away compliments and turned them back on you. You're the artist, she said. I just sew. Marie had a relaxed attitude about everything. She surfed the wild waves of life with extreme poise and grace. One time I was in her living room when she was back in her bedroom with a date. Marie said, listen, I got a date later on. That's another date later on. This guy's supposed to be taking her out somewhere, but she in the back already with one dude. The next date knocks on the door. Hey, I'm here for Marie. Marie yells out there to Bettye and said, I'm tired. Tell him to come on back here. When Marvin Gaye met Marie, he